All right, welcome back. It's Sunday night. It means it's time for our Old Testament studies. Working our way through Exodus. We're into the minute details of the law. Remember, Moses had trying to deal with all this million plus people. First time ever they've had true freedom. They're not slaves. They're out in the wilderness. So what happens? There's restraints off and the fusses, and they're people. Anytime you put a whole bunch of people together, there's going to be conflicts, and he did, he should, and he said, all this kind of stuff. He said, she said, and he took this, it belongs to me, and so he's having to deal with that. So what do? He sets himself as a judge. His father-in-law says, get other judges and let other people deal with the minor stuff, let them bring. But what they need is what? They need some written law. So that's what we're working through. And it's not just something back for Moses' day. Our Judeo-Christian law takes its basis from this Old Testament Bible. And it really is some practical stuff about, hey, if somebody steals something, they need to make restitution. Here's how they make restitution. There's a lot of things back in Moses' day that they got the death penalty for, that we don't do that anymore. We've really lightened up on a lot of the stuff. In fact, today, if you notice, it's like the law's on the side of the criminal more than it is the person who's been wronged many times. But here's where it begins at, and here was the original. So let's see. Chapter 22 of Exodus. If a man should steal, I can't stand a thief, can you? I'm one of them people that if I feel like somebody really needs something and I've got it, I'll give it to them. But boy, don't you steal it from me, right? If a man steal an ox or a sheep and kill it or sell it, he shall restore 5 ox for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. You don't just catch him, you have to give it back. You make him restore that ox 5 times. That'll teach him to steal. And if a thief be found breaking in, we'd say. Breaking up, we call it breaking in. And he be smitten that he die, there'll be no bloodshed for him. Now, that hasn't changed. If somebody's breaking in your home and they've made it as far as coming in the door on you, you have the right to kill them. That goes back to the Bible principle here, that if they're breaking in on you and you have to kill them, there's no bloodshed for him, no punishment for that one. But if he breaks in and gets away and you know who did it and you go in tomorrow morning and kill him, you can't do that. If the sun be risen upon him, there shall be bloodshed for him. For he should make full restitution, but you can't go kill him after he's done got away with it. And if he have nothing to make restitution with, then he'll be sold for his theft. He'll be put into slave labor until it's paid for. And if the theft be certainly found in his hand alive, whether he stole an ox, an ass, or sheep, he has to restore that double. He can't just work out the price of it. He's got to work out 2 times the price of it. And if a man shall cause a field or a vineyard to be eaten, in other words, he puts his cows in somebody else's field and is letting them eat it up, and shall put in his beast and shall feed in another man's field, of the best of his own field and the best of his own vineyard shall he make restitution. That's the key word through here. The punishment fits the crime, and you got to make restitution for what you've done. Sometimes restitution is double or more. In case of an ox, 4 times, isn't it? Or 5 times. 6, if a fire break out, now here's something that happens today. You're out there burning some brush on your property, and it gets away from you. You didn't get the permit, and it was too dry, and you're burning, and guess what? Still today, if it gets away and causes a fire, you're going to have to pay for that. It goes back to Moses here. If a man calls a field 6. If fire breaks out and catches in thorns, so that the stacks of corn or the standing corn or the field be consumed therewith. See, a lot of these forest fires started with somebody being careless with fire, and that's the way they can prosecute them later. He that kindles the fire shall surely make restitution. That can be a big deal today if it burns for all summer long. If a man shall deliver unto his neighbor money or stuff to keep my stuff for me, and then it got stolen out of the neighbor's house, if that thief that stole it be found, he has to pay double. But if you can't find the thief, if he be not found, then the master of the house he has to come to the courts. He'll be brought to the judges to see whether he's put his hand to his neighbor's goods, because he might have just took it and said somebody stole it, see? For all manner of trespass, whether it be ox, ass, sheep, clothing, or any manner of lost thing, which another man challenges to be his, that's mine. No, it ain't. There's a challenge. Then it's going to go to the courts. The cause of both parties shall come before the judges, and whom the judges shall condemn, court says final. You can appeal today, but whoever the judges find guilty, he has to pay double to his neighbor. If a man deliver unto his neighbor an ass or an ox or a sheep or a beast to keep, and it dies, keep my animal for me while I've got to go on a trip or something. It dies while you're gone. If it dies or it gets hurt or it's driven away and nobody saw what happened, then shall an oath of the Lord be between them both. Both of them swear to the Lord that they ain't doing nothing shady here, that he's not put unto his hand to his neighbor's goods, and the owner of it shall accept that, and he'll not make it good. It just happened. It's one of them things. But if it be stolen from him, I guess he should have been guarding it, because he should make restitution to the owner thereof. But now if an animal comes and kills it, if it be torn in pieces, then let him bring it for a witness. Here's your bloody lamb. Look what a mess we've got. A lion got after it. And he don't have to make that one good, because the animal kills one of them things again. Verse 14. If a man borrow anything from his neighbor, I always hated to borrow anything, because every time I've borrowed something, it broke. That's just the way it goes. It's kind of a Murphy's Law kind of thing. Was it Benjamin Franklin, maybe in Poor Richard's Almanac? Was he the one that said, neither a borrower nor a lender be? There's something to that, I guess. If a man borrow of his neighbor, and it be hurt or die, the owner thereof being not with it, you have to make it good. So if you borrow something from your neighbor, if you're going to borrow his axe and you break the handle, guess what? You should fix the handle, give it back to him. But if the owners thereof be with it, say your neighbor came with you and both of you was there and it broke, then that's just one of them things. He'll not make it good. Now, if it be a hired thing, it came for his hire. If I go up to the rental place and rent a ditch witch today, a specialty tool or something, and the transmission goes out, that's part of it. Their ditch witch broke, Try to take care of it, but it's part of it. You've paid for that. And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. That's what become known in Appalachia as shotgun weddings, wasn't it? But if her father don't want her to marry him, if he utterly refused to give her unto him, then he's got to pay for it. He'll pay money according to the dowry of virgins. Verse 18, now there's a list of things here that was the death penalty. I mean, there's a lot of things death penalty in the Old Testament, but people were sometimes stoned to death because they were working on the Sabbath day, for instance. There's a principle there, but we don't still do that. But the principle's still there that, hey, God says don't do that, unless your ox is in the ditch kind of thing, right? And here's one of them. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. If somebody's worshiping Satan, or, back then it was the death penalty. Today they're on every corner trying to charge you money to talk to the peeping and muttering spirits to tell you what your love life's going to be 10 years from now. He that sacrifices unto, verse 19, we don't want to skip that one. Bestiality. Whosoever lies with a beast shall surely be put to death. Not a bad principle. We try to help them, hopefully. It's moving more and more toward normalcy, I guess, but they at least need to be put in an institution and helped, don't they? He that sacrifices unto any god save the Lord. The Lord only. He'll be utterly destroyed. That goes along with the Lord saying, you don't have any other gods before me. I'm number one. Thou shalt neither vex a stranger nor oppress him. Because remember where you come from. You were strangers in the land of Egypt. Even the New Testament, we get on to Hebrews, it talks about, being gracious and hospitable to strangers, for some have entertained angels unawares. 22, you shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child. We call them widows and orphans. All through the New Testament, God's concerned with the widows and the orphans being taken care of. And you certainly don't need to mistreat them, because if you inflict them in any wise and they cry unto me, God says, I'll surely hear their cry, and my wrath shall wax hot, and I'll kill you with the sword. I guess that means God's going to allow the enemy to come in and kill you. And he said, I'll make widows and orphans out of your wife and children. Your widows, your wives will be widows, and your children will fatherless. You can bring judgment upon yourself, can't you, and upon the nation. If thou lend money to any of my people that's poor by thee, thou shalt not be to him as a usurer. Don't charge him interest. That's what usury is. Neither shall thou lay upon him usury. If a poor person needs help and you help them, it's a good thing to pay you back, but don't charge them interest. Don't say you have to loan to them, but if you do, don't charge them interest. And if you're going to take a pledge from them, they say, I'll pay you back tomorrow. So if you take a pledge from them, that's all right. But if you take their clothing for a pledge, their overcoat, you make sure they get it back by dark, because they're going to need it to sleep in and stay warm. God's concerned about that, see? Verse 26, if you take your neighbor's raiment to pledge, that's his clothing, you'll deliver it unto him by the time the sun goes down. For that's his covering only. It is his raiment for his skin. Where shall he sleep? And it'll come to pass when he cries unto me that I will hear. You say, well, that sounds awfully gracious. And God says, for I am gracious. Thou shalt not revile the gods. And in my mid notes here in the KJV, I didn't look in the other translations, but it says the best translation here is don't revile God, nor curse the ruler of thy people. And, we don't seem to take that serious today. Everybody likes either the past president or the present president, one or the other one. But, boy, I see things that are just embarrassing on bumper stickers and things, and God says that's not good. You don't have to like them, you don't have to vote for them, but don't curse the ruler of the people. Thou shalt not delay to offer the first of your ripe fruits. Don't delay. You always give God the first fruits, not the last fruits. We don't deal with fruit. We deal with stuff they put in our pocketbook or our checking account. But he says, don't delay to offer the first of your ripe fruits and of your liquors, the firstborn of your sons. They were dedicated to God, remember in the law. You'll give them unto me. Likewise shalt thou do with your ox and your sheep. 7 days it'll be with his dam, his mama, but on the 8th day you'll give that to me, God says, in these special occasions here, the firstborns of them. The principle there is still there too. You give God of the first fruits of your income, and don't delay. And if you do that, verse 31, you'll be holy men unto me. You'll be different than the rest of the world. You'll be sanctified. You'll be sacred. You'll be different. You'll be holy to God. Neither shall you eat any flesh that's torn of beast in the field. That's just good practical advice today, I guess. Somebody go out there and somebody's killed your calf and it's all ripped all to pieces. The Lord says, don't pick that up and eat it. Feed it to the dogs. We'll end with that one, chapter 23 next week.